Nice.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to you all on this wet Thursday. So it's our Thursday edition of Buildtastic for our National Construction Week, and I'd like to really warmly welcome Harriet Wade and Karen Vigar from Isg, who are going to give you a really enlightening session about diversity and championing women in construction. So I'd like to warmly welcome Karen first, and she'll hand over to Harriet. Really enjoy it, everyone, and we look forward to your questions in the Q&A box. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Debbie. Yes, good morning, everybody. You're going to hear from myself and Harriet today from ISG. Harriet's going to pop some slides onto the system. And as Debbie has said, we've been working with West Suffolk College to really support on your Buildtastic week, which is part of the UK Construction Week, which is the UK's largest built environment week, celebrating all the great things that there are within construction. We're very proud to be doing that and supporting. And obviously we're hosting this year virtually for obvious reasons, but both myself and Harriet hope to be with you just as soon as we can. So my role, I'm Education Engagement Manager, and I'll leave Harriet to introduce herself, but she's the Community Engagement Advisor at ISG, so she can tell you more about her role when she introduces. And we're here today to talk around diversity and championing women in construction. Thanks, Harriet. So who are we? So ISG, you might have heard of us. We're a global but privately owned construction company. And when you look out of your windows and you see the cranes and all of the building activity in your communities, we're delivering those places where people and business thrive. So what do we do? So I've put together some pictures which kind of give you a bit more of a background about what ISG do. And we operate in fit out, designing the interiors of lots of different buildings. So the technologies, the IT and the data center environment, construction sector, and the development of various buildings. And the actual sectors themselves. So you could have noticed us putting and building office developments, retail developments and shopping centres. Very prevalent at the moment, technology based and science supporting the health of our whole sector and industry at the moment. Very COVID-19 prevalent. They're trying to support the sector as best we can. Hospitality, leisure and our living sectors, and obviously the interaction that we've got here with you with education and the public sector with schools and colleges across, well, the UK but globally as well. So where do we operate? So as you can see from our map there, we operate across 24 countries, and we have 3 main hubs, which is Europe, Middle East and Asia. So today we're here obviously to promote the different and diverse roles in construction. As a sector, construction is a hugely valued sector, and as I've mentioned, is so critical at the moment to the resilience not only of our nation but during COVID-19 and supporting our UK economy. So construction has over 2.4 million jobs in the sector, and both Harriet and myself as women hopefully can give a different perspective as well of the industry from our viewpoints and our journey. And we're really asked a number of times, you know, oh, isn't it just boys that do construction? And actually Harriet will tell you far more about that, but no, typically, you know, women make up at least 14%, that's the industry standard, of all the professionals in the industry, and ISG is around 26%. So I'm going to hand over to Harriet to tell you more. And what we're going to do, we're going to talk for the next hour, and then please put any questions that you may have on the chat facility, and then Harriet and myself are going to answer those at the end, and we're going to be wrapping up just before 12. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks, Karen. So as Karen mentioned, I'm Harriet Wade. I'm the Community Engagement Advisor for ISG. So I cover mainly Wales and the west of England. So today we're going to look around, the diverse roles within the industry. So we thought we'd start with a nice, simple video. Hopefully you can all hear it. So we'll just play this for you to get you started. Give me a shout, Karen, if you can see it. So again, it was a really, really short clip on some of the roles that are within this industry. So some of the really important things that you'd ever need to think about when you're applying for a job, not only in the construction industry, but in any job sector, are some of the essential skills that you may need. So some of these fit with construction, some of them fit in any other job role. So you've always got to have a bit of enthusiasm about whichever job that you're going to pick up and take. Teamwork is obviously really, really important, and is probably one of the main skills that you'd need being in the construction industry, which follows along with your strong communication skills. So working together as a team and ensuring that you're communicating with other people. So you may be communicating with a project manager, or you may be communicating with somebody based out on site. So some of our bricklayers, carpenters, to ensure that you've got that key communication and that they know what they're doing and you know what you're doing. So time management. So for me, that's a really, really important skill for me. So obviously I run across quite a large area of the business. So I've probably got at the minute around 16 live projects. So that assures me I need to make sure I've got good time management skills to ensure that I give every job an opportunity and a portion of my time, and ensure I achieve everything that I need to achieve in the month. You need to have a commercial awareness. So obviously every job has a commercial aspect of the project, so ensuring that you know and you're aware of some of those things. So a leadership quality, now that's quite a broad area and an essential skill, but having that slight bit of leadership and being able to be responsible for your area of work, but also be able to communicate with others in your team to ensure that they're doing what they need to do and that everything gets joined back up together. A problem-solving skill is one I think all of us use on a day-to-day basis, but probably don't ever realise that we're going to use it. So a problem-solving skill on site could be that we are running out of time, or we've lost time. That could be, due to weather. So obviously, we've had snow in the past, or for instance, COVID. Some sites may have had to stop for COVID to ensure that we are putting the 2-metre regulations in place and that everything is safe for people to come back to site. So they then have to problem solve to make up the time that we've lost on site, or to problem solve to ensure that we've got a one-way system around site that's safe to do so what we need to do. An IT skill. So I think today is perfect for showing exactly why we need an IT skill set. We're all on a live stream at the minute, and using a laptop, I take it, or a phone, and obviously it's really, really important on a day-to-day basis to know how to work these objects. And I think, sometimes we all have a little bit of technical difficulty. I can hold my hand up to that one, but it's really, really important that we all know exactly, some of the skills that we need to have. So just to give you a little bit of a broad idea of some of the opportunities in the industry and what they get paid, because I think at the end of the day, it's really important to know exactly how much money you're going to get at the end of the year, and in your pay packet for that month. So, looking at an average bricklayer that's qualified, so they've finished their college, They, you know, a very good bricklayer would be on around £30,000. This could go up or down depending on, you know, how well you're doing. So if you were in Wales, for instance, and you were just starting off, you probably wouldn't be on £30,000. But if you were up for me, if you were up in London, and you were on one of the high-end jobs in London, you'd probably be on a lot more than £30,000 a year. So, you know, depending on your job role is depending on, you know, your skill set, and then the value of what you get. And I think what's really important is not every job on here, you know, I haven't put every job on here that we've got in the industry because I think there's just too many to name trade-wise. But I think from the right-hand photos, so these are actual photos from site, they're from one of my jobs here in Cardiff. And I think it just demonstrates how happy some of these people look and how passionate they are about their job. You know, there's somebody there on his hands and knees smiling at us as he's working on the rebar. You know, it's really important that, you know, you enjoy your job on a day-to-day basis. So some of the office based careers that, you know, you might be interested in, whether you want to go into quantity surveying or project management, there is a job fit for you. And I think, again, these are just some of your typical construction jobs, but then leaning in, Karen and myself have got two very different job roles to what you'd classically call a construction job. And I think there's a lot more people in our business that do a lot of different roles that aren't listed here. You know, we've got people in IT that constantly are answering phones and supporting our whole business for the IT support for us. So if I broke my laptop and didn't know what I needed to do, those people would come back and be able to support me in doing what I need to do. We've got a whole team that looks at sustainability. So what is sustainability? So what is a sustainable job? So, you know, when you go and water your plants in the garden, do you use rainwater from your, you know, your water butt in the garden, or do you use it from the tap? So some of the sustainable things that our business looks at. So how can we make a building sustainable? So for instance, one of my jobs here in Cardiff, you know, they put a massive water tank under their building, and I mean massive, probably nearly the size of 2 football pitches, just to give you sort of the length of how big they are. And it holds, I think, 3 Olympic swimming pools. It's quite a lot of water held in them. And what they do, so that's all rainwater going in into the basement. And what they do, when you flush the chain on a toilet, that water is actually the water that's from the rain. So it's a really, really good and easy way of being sustainable in the business. And again, some obvious photos of some of our team working, you know, whether it was when we could go out and deliver, you know, educational events, or whether we do a cake sale, which we, you know, often do to raise money for charity, and things like that. So some very broad and different jobs on this picture here, that obviously sometimes people forget of the different roles in the industry and ones that you may be interested to look at. You know, some may require a degree, some may not, and some give you options, you know, that you may want to go into an apprenticeship and try for the apprenticeship route. Some of these give you that opportunity. So now I've got three photos of 3 different exceptional women who have done 3 different things for the business. So as we've got here, we've got our first photo, and she was from the Midlands, Emily. And basically what we do, we have what's called Women in Construction or Women in Property. So this is an organisation of mainly women in a group, from all different areas of the construction industry, whether you want to go into housing, whether you want to work for a client, whether you are a contractor like myself and Karen. All these women get together and they get to go on site visits, they go to award ceremonies, and you can put yourself forward for an award. And this is where Emily came in and was obviously nominated for an award for her hard work, and she's been studying obviously building surveying at Nottingham University. So she's been working really hard, and I think it's really important to showcase some of the really important things that people do within our business. Then we've got Hayley in the middle, who looks rather wet in Wales. So this was an event we supported last year, so the Homeless World Cup. So obviously we really want to support loads of different organisations and people in getting back into their work. And I think one of these key areas was in Wales, we support a homeless charity called the Wallich. And what we do is we work with the Wallich, we find good people that want to be employed, and we put them on our sites, and they become a labourer and they work their way up into becoming site managers or whatever they may choose to be, and we upskill them to what they need to be. So myself, Hayley, and a couple of other members of the team went and supported the Homeless World Cup. So it was a massive football World Cup, which happens every year. The year before, in 2018, it was held over in America, I believe. So it was amazing to be able to have it over here in Wales. Obviously, Hayley happened to be on the day where it was absolutely soaking wet. I was very lucky, and we had sort of 25 degrees sunshine, so I couldn't complain at all. And what we did, we just supported, the homeless players, and took them around Cardiff for the day, gave them a site tour of what Cardiff looks like, and we're very lucky in having that a couple of our jobs in Cardiff here are in the city centre, so we were able to demonstrate exactly what the construction industry looks like, and why we want to support people to come into the industry, and I think this is really key in demonstrating some of the work that we deliver. Then we obviously have Danielle. Danielle is our business development coordinator. And I think this just shows, not every day do we look at, health and safety, or do we look at homelessness or awards. We actually drive it down to what do people do on a day-to-day basis? What do they do Monday to Friday? And what is their focus on their mind, and how do they think on a day-to-day basis? So obviously Danielle mentioned she chooses to start every Monday morning by setting myself work and personal goals for the week ahead. So this allows her to clear her mind and know exactly what she needs to do for that week. And I think it just demonstrates how diverse everybody is in the industry. So everybody will have a different thing that they'll do Monday morning to make sure they plan ahead for their week. Then we have three other women that I've sort of tried to pick ones that aren't in the UK as well, so that you get a very good idea of what's happening overseas. So obviously in Dubai, and some of the work that's happening in Dubai, we don't always employ people that are fully qualified, so like here, Jasmine is an assistant quantity surveyor in the Middle East, and she's working towards becoming a qualified quantity surveyor. So that means she's currently doing her degree at the minute, which is more than likely being fully funded by Isg to support her with her development within the business. So she'll probably be going to college or university one day a week, and then she will progress, and once she finishes her degree, she'll become an assistant quantity surveyor, and then once she's got enough project experience, she'll step up into the industry and become a fully fledged quantity surveyor. Then we've got James. So James Shaw is a senior design manager. So it's quite important to mention that all of these roles are really, really different. So we've got some of the women that are based in the office and work in the office every day. And then we've got some women that are based out on site full time. And then we've got some people who have that opportunity to work on site or in the office. So they get both options to what they want to do as a career. So like myself, I decided I didn't really want to be out in the cold every day. It's not for me, and especially where I'm working today, I'm on site and it looks like it's raining outside, which is not a fun thing for me. I'm not a fan of the rain. So that, I didn't choose to go and work out on site, but I've got that opportunity within my role in the business that I can go out to site and I can speak to people on site and go around site and see what's happening on my project, but then also come and, at the moment work from home or work from the office, and do all my other paperwork from the office or from home. So I get both opportunities. And then we've got project managers that may work just on site, and they spend, probably, half of their day out on site and, you know, quarter of their day in the office, just doing whatever paperwork needs to be done for them as well. So I think it's really important to understand that the construction industry it's a bit like whatever you want to do. Okay, so if you do want to go and work in, you know, out on site and be full-time out on site in the mud and enjoying yourself, then that's absolutely fine. You can do that. If you want to be a painter, and as you know, the building is already dry and all you're doing is making sure that it looks lovely and putting the paint up at the end, you can do that. Or you can be on the management side and you can be in the office and on site and get that dual role. Or you can be full-time in the office and, you know, you can enjoy it. But I don't think every day is the same in the construction industry. So if you speak to anybody in the construction industry, they will tell you not every day is the same. I do something different every single day of the week. And, you know, I don't think in my 4.5 years I've had one day exactly the same, which in a little way is a good thing. In a little way it's quite scary to think that I've never done the same thing twice. And I think that's really important to mention. And I think, as Karen mentioned, you know, women are, you know, we haven't got a lot of women in the industry, but I think it's really important to, you know, showcase the women that we have got in the industry and the different roles and opportunities that they've stepped into within that industry, you know, because a lot of people think that it is a male-orientated industry, and actually it's changing day by day. It's changing, and more females are coming into the industry. So, for instance, in just Wales alone this year, out of our trainees and graduates, we now have, I believe, 5 are women, which is a massive number. And I believe we've currently got, you know, sort of about 10 to 15. So 5 of those 10 to 15 are females, which is absolutely fantastic for us. And to be able to get a really diverse workforce in place. And to get, you know, opportunities all across the business, and that they're not only in, you know, project management or quantity surveying, they're actually out on site. So we've got sort of bricklayers out on site, we've got carpenters out on site, you know, so there are plenty of opportunities out there for people. So another thing that ISG look at is WowX, so World of Work Experience. So this is to inspire the young people of our generation to come into the construction industry. Why is the construction industry so important to us, and why do we want more young people to come and join us in the industry? So I've currently delivered 4 of these WowXs, and from the 4 I've currently had 5 students apply for the who have got through the ISG program and are now trainees on the ISG scheme. Which is absolutely fantastic, with a lot more applying for those positions as well. And I think what's important about this week is it gives you a real understanding of what is the construction industry. So it starts you off right at the beginning. How would ISG choose to win a job? So why would we choose to win, you know, the new BBC headquarters? And then it goes through, right, so what do we need to do to win that job? So we have to go through every stage of a tender, so that's where we bid and we basically go against our competition and write a really good, in a weird way, a really good essay to get to win the job. Once we've won the job, we probably have a good 6-7 months before we actually do anything on the site, and that's all preparation ready for us to go on the project and ready for us to start what we need to do. We then, once we're on the site, we probably have a good 2-3 years of working full-time on that job to complete the handover of that project. And then at the end, you know, we hand the job over. So this sort of a week squishes it all together and gives you a really good experience of exactly what we do. So it gives you, right, so how do ISG win a job? Then how you would then pick a job. So you'd have 3 different projects to bid for, and you'd work as a team to pick that job. You'd then go from there, and you would go and you'd write a little essay for us. It wouldn't be very long, and then you'd go on a site visit with our ISG team. So like in this picture here, it demonstrates that a group of students have gone out to see a job. And then you'd come back and you'd deliver a presentation to us at the end of the week of everything that you've experienced throughout the week. And there's lots of different activities in place for you to get experience, and lots of different people. So you'll meet, you know, our managing directors, through to our regional directors, all the way down to other trainees that have come into the industry and want to showcase what a good industry we are in. So, you know, we are championing diversity and inclusion in the construction industry, and we're really trying to showcase opportunities that are diverse for everybody. So looking at opportunities, you know, we look at not only using LinkedIn as a source to recruit people. You know, we have a website and we ask people to go forward and try and apply through our website to get that position. We also, you know, once you're in the industry, you may know people that are looking for a position. So we also recruit like that. So there's lots of different ways within the business that we recruit for a position at ISG. And we're always looking to support people that want to come into the industry. So for instance, we did a whole program on, you know, career changes. So people who wanted to change career into the construction industry, but didn't know how to do it. So what we did was we held a massive event where loads of different people came through the door looking to get into the construction industry. They were really keen to get in. They didn't know exactly what they wanted to do. They just wanted to get into the construction industry. So they sat down with us. We had a good questionnaire and a chat with them to find out exactly, right, what sort of things they're interested in, how can we support them, and go through those opportunities for them there. They then we gave them an application, they applied, and the majority of these people got through. And what we do then was they would leave their current job and they'd join ISG, or we worked with many other contractors to deliver this. So a young lady came to join us. She'd recently had a young family and decided that she wanted a change and wanted to come into the construction industry. So she joined us and wanted to become a labourer and a plant woman, so somebody who drives the forklift and those kind of opportunities. So we put her on a qualification then that was fit for those opportunities, for her to get the tickets and the qualifications that she needed to drive the forklift or whatever she may have been driving. And she actually is working with us and spent over a year training up to become, you know, now a fully fledged labourer and plant woman. So she's now fully trained up to do whatever she needs to do. And from that opportunity, she has now moved to another project and is doing exactly that on one of those jobs. So there's lots of different opportunities, not just for women, but for ex-care leavers. So there's a programme up in Manchester that one of my fellow colleagues is supporting to support care leavers in getting into any position in the construction industry or in a position in general. So there's lots of opportunities there. I run a programme down here in Wales to support ex-offenders, to support them into a position that they may need. So I go and recruit within the prison and have a chat with them, find out exactly what they want. Once they're released from prison, they come back out and meet me, and then we can find them a position if they're interested in getting an opportunity. Lots of our industry are working with homeless people in finding them the opportunity to support. As I mentioned, you know, we did the Homeless World Cup. So we find lots of positions to be able to support them in doing what they need to do. So another really important and diverse area of our industry is the Open Doors event. So the Open Doors event is a national event that runs every year in March. And it's one of those opportunities that if ever you want to see a construction site and you don't know who to talk to, this is the best opportunity for you to come and see site. So it's one of those opportunities where most of the sites in the UK open their doors to the public to come and have a look. And you can click online and type in the Open Doors event, and you'll find out exactly what projects near you are opening their doors for this event. And from those events, you may get, you know, that you're really interested in an opportunity. And then once you've got into the Open Doors event, those people that are there are normally project managers, quantity surveyors, people like myself and Karen. They'll be able to talk to you about the opportunities within the industry and give you a real understanding of how do we get into the industry. And we can then mentor you or support you in getting a position within the industry. And I think that's really important. So any opportunity that you look at that you want to apply for, I think it's really important that you look at different people and find out exactly what they enjoy about the industry. and just being able to find out the different ways of getting into the industry and how you go about doing it. So that's me finished talking. It's just whether you have any questions for myself or Karen that you'd like us to answer.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Harriet.
No worries.
Yeah, I have been collating. Thank you so much, everybody, for interacting. There's a number of questions which both myself and Harriet can answer. Hopefully you've really got a sense that construction is not just bricks and mortar. There's so many different roles, as Harriet has outlined, from sort of gaming and BIM and technology experts to legal, to business development, to planning, to painting, decorating, and obviously working live on our site. So there's so many different roles. And ISG are also working with a number of schools and colleges to actually roll out and to teach a level 3 applied diploma in construction, where there's around 35% of those people who are actually women studying the construction course to then go into professional roles within construction. So we've got about half an hour, so we've got a number of questions, Harriet, so between the two of us. So the first question: when you have lots of projects live and at once, how do you track progress and what needs to be done next? And that's from Millie. Harriet.
Brilliant. So it's quite difficult to track every job. So what I do is I work differently to most people. So everybody has a different way that they want to track their projects. So under the social value team, what we have is we have what's called a master tracker. So this is got all the jobs that all of us are working on. So within the team that I'm in, there are only 5 of us for the whole of the UK. So what we do is we list all of our projects on that list, and we basically traffic light it, if that makes sense. So we go red, amber or green, so that we know where our projects are at, and then we have a coded system every month so that we can write in a little tab, right, how is this job doing? Are we happy with how they are achieving what we've set in place for them? And then on those months, then I may go out to site. So today I'm actually on one of my largest projects in the UK. It's around a £90 million project. So I'm sat here today, so I'll go through with the team to make sure that they're achieving everything that they need to achieve. Alongside that, we have what's called a league table. So every month, myself and a colleague will sit down and we'll score site on how they're doing. So we'll score every site, and then they go on to this big like league table where they compete against each other to score gold, silver or bronze, and every site wants to be gold. So it gives them pointers as how they need to where they need to be to get better to become that gold. Hope that makes a bit of sense.
Yeah, thanks, Harriet. Okay, so the next question, there's a couple of questions which kind of relate together. So one from Jem and one from Sarah. Can you juggle family life with a high-flying construction career, and can you work part-time in different roles? Well, I could give a kind of bit of a feedback on that. Yeah, I've decided to go from full-time to part-time, so I work 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I've got a young family, and now during COVID, an older family all come back to live at our same house. So I've definitely been juggling during the lockdown period, and I've realised that the work that your teachers do are fantastic. I don't know how they're so patient and inspire you so much. And can you juggle family life with a high-flying career? Yes, you can. And I know Harriet too. Harriet's an example of being able to juggle lots of different things and be able to move up the career ladder. So hopefully that one covers that. We've got a question about vacancies abroad, Harriet, and opportunities to go around globally. And that was from Jen. And how do we actually transfer, or how would you look at opportunities globally?
So if you are within ISG, there's a way that we go about it within the business. So on a yearly basis, we go through what's called a PDR, so it's a performance review. So we sit with our boss and we go through that review process to see how I'm achieving, what my boss thinks of me, am I doing what I set out to do when I got this job? And within that section, it'll ask you, do you ever fancy traveling? And you can say yes or no, it's completely up to you. And within that section, then they say, where would you fancy traveling? So you can put anywhere in the world that you wanted to go. So you could choose to go to Amsterdam, or you could choose to go to Australia. You know, it's completely up to you where you want to. And you can put all those list of countries where you might fancy working. So you can do it like that, or say, my partner, for instance, luckily he works in Wales. But sometimes he may need to move and live somewhere else, so he might need to move to Manchester and work in Manchester. You can then ask your business unit, can you transfer from Wales to Manchester and do your job up in Manchester? So there's two options there for those people that are working within the business. If you're looking for a position, if you click on the ISG website, so the ISG website has loads of tabs at the top of the website, and you can click at the top and it says careers within the industry. You can click down and it just demonstrates, and there's a tab on the left hand side that shows all of the places that we work, and you can click in the region. So whether you wanted to choose to work in Asia, you could click on that and you can find out the job vacancies that are in Asia or wherever you choose to work.
Yeah, thanks very much, Harriet. Okay, so we've got a question from Jazz. Is it okay to change roles if you find that you don't enjoy the one that you're doing or that you've applied to? Well, I think you gave an example of how you did an event there where lots of people are coming into the industry. Is there any other examples? I know definitely for the apprenticeship scheme, which that opens very shortly. So keep an eye out on our website from November of our apprenticeship scheme, where that's a 5-year programme after you've done your A-levels or your level 3, that in terms of specialising, you have a number of different options before you have to specialise in your chosen career. So you have a time period there within the 5 years to be able to do that. Is there any other examples of being able to show that, Harriet?
I think really it's, anything. If you've got, so my degree is in inclusion and diversity, which is quite fit for today's topic. But actually it doesn't really, I don't do that as my career every day. But if I wanted to, I could look and move from the role I'm in now to another one. Or a lot of our teams, if they don't like the position that they're doing, sometimes they'll stick at it for a bit and then they'll apply for, go back to college or university, and maybe do an additional course to support them, which will then move them to be a project manager or whatever they choose to be. So I think there's always an option for you to move job role, and just sometimes you may need to upskill yourself to get into that job role.
Yeah, thanks, Harriet. So I've got a number of questions around women and progression at the same time, or better than the men do. And there's a question there from Mel. Now, all I can say is probably ourselves, like many others, we have a fair pay charter to look at, benchmark all the different roles that are on offer in construction. And our company is absolutely committed to eliminating discrimination and encouraging equality and diversity at all levels of our business. So we're absolutely so keen to get a diverse range of people, both ethnicity, gender and diversity, that represent our communities that we work in, because we really can't understand the challenges that are happening in our communities if we don't understand the viewpoints of those different persons in our communities. So absolutely, we are challenging all the time around fair pay and equality. And actually, we've just had on our ISG board the first COO to be promoted to our board. So Chief Operating Officer, who is actually my boss, Zoe Price, is now part of the board. So it's fantastic. We've got now 2 or 3 women on our main board to actually challenge and to give a different perspective. There's a question here from Izzy. Harriet, when I talk to my family about going into construction, they say that I need broad shoulders, and am I able to cope with comments by men? Is this true?
I wouldn't take it as such like that. I say it's a very jokey atmosphere within the business, but again, we tolerate no behaviour from men or women of such comments like that. But I would say it's a very fun atmosphere to be in. I've never had a problem being on any of my sites. And I think it's a great industry to come into. It is one of those industries, a bit like a family. So every job has got that little hub together. So you do, sometimes fight like a family would. But actually, no, I wouldn't say there's any comments from anybody. It's just a very jokey and fun atmosphere to work in.
Yeah, and I reiterate that. I think absolutely it's health and safety is paramount in our industry, and it's about giving the best service that we can to our customer, regardless of again, gender or who you are. And actually, I find sometimes that you can bring difference and different thinking by being a woman in the industry, and sometimes by putting those different ideas in, you can get the best solution. So I think we need that difference in our industry. Harriet, do you work with job centres to help the unemployed? And that's a question from Sam.
Yes, I do work with the job centres. I was actually on the phone to the job centre yesterday in a call, looking how we can do work experience for the unemployed to give them some experience of working on site, so they've got able to put something on their CVs as well. So yes, we do a lot of work with job centres.
Okay. There was a question around pay difference. I think we sort of covered that, Suze. That's around the fair charter. Is there anything else that you want to add to that, Harriet, at all?
No, I just believe with pay, it's how you determine what you deserve to get paid and whether you work to get it. You have to be able to deliver and do your job to the satisfaction that you want to see it be done, and for your boss's perception. So I wouldn't say there's a pay difference between men or women either.
Yeah. And also there's a kind of whole transparent system now on Glassdoors and being able to see openly how much people are earning, and so you can definitely ask to see that within your own business too. So there's a question from Jen. She loves working with children and she also loves construction. What type of role could she apply for? I was just thinking our roles really, probably social media would be phenomenal to be able to do that, or anything in education as well.
Fits straight in. So to give you, Jen, an understanding, before I joined ISG, I was a teaching assistant. So I have 2.5 years teaching experience. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a role where I could do a bit of both, where I could still go out and speak to kids and understand exactly what the construction industry is like. And at the minute, times are challenging, and I'm doing a lot of it virtually, which is quite difficult with children that are 3 and 4 years old. Trying to see them through a screen isn't the easiest challenge. But absolutely, so the roles that myself and Karen are in, so it would technically be called under what is quite newly termed as social value, or community engagement, education, or community benefits. So they've got all of those titles, and yeah, they're probably I would say the best part of my job is going out and talking to young people about the opportunities in the industry.
Mm-hmm. And would you say you wouldn't necessarily need to do, there was a question from Kieran linked to what you just said there about teaching. Do you need to do the teaching first and then construction, or you could do it the other way around if you wanted?
Yeah, I can do it either way.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, and what about the social side? What are some of the social activities that, say, I'm based in London in the Aldgate, which is the head office. Some of the social activities can be from, Christmas events with work and family to just a kind of pizza with your team in the office, or looking at bowling events, or, kind of a number of social events that you can do with your teams. Obviously now slightly different and how we do those, but you can still definitely interact. And we've made sure, especially for mental health and well-being, that we've all kept in touch virtually as well. Is there any other events that you've kind of been involved with there for Ginny's question?
I think, depending on what team you work in, for instance, as a site team, we've gone to the races for a day out. You know, I'm at a virtual away day next week with my team, and basically we've ordered goodie boxes for each other. Don't know what's in them yet, and they're going to be delivered to each other's houses next week. That's all out of our group budget. You know, so because we can't group together and have a nice meal out together, we've got these different boxes that we'll sit and open together, and have a few drinks in the evening and a laugh. So, you know, there's lots of different ways that we work together socially. I would say the majority of my close friends now are working for ISG, and I met them through ISG. So I think it does bring you together in a good friendship way.
Yeah, brilliant. Sid asked a good question around perceptions of the construction industry being male dominated. And true, ISG are doing lots of things to change perceptions and work with the culture of the business, but also the culture of the industry to change. How are we sort of measuring the impact of these changes, and how does that measurement come into your job, Harriet?
So I think this is quite a weird question, actually. I think we don't particularly measure it as such. I think, you know, there are lots of perceptions about the industry, and we do a lot of like questionnaires that are anonymously answered within our business. So we've recently just gone through a questionnaire system at the minute about what our business is like. So they tailored it closely to COVID and how the business dealt with COVID, and how did the people on furlough feel when they got furloughed. Or we have down to our supply chain, we have, you know, anonymous questionnaires from them to what they think of us as a business, and how we improve. So then we get a tailored system back, and we're able to sort of measure the impact, and then we can support the changes within our business. And then we may ask the same questions 6 months later down the line, and find out, are we better or worse than the first time? And that's how we probably measure the impact on the change of perception within our business.
Yeah, and as Harriet said, we've got a number of employee data questionnaires that we complete annually, of which our senior team then go through and analyse all the perceptions around how we feel, our performance, and we have 4 values which are formed part of our strategy, which focus on employee and customer experience, operational efficiency and revolutionary change, and each of those is measured very closely in our appraisal and our honest feedback that we do, and so that's taken very, very seriously by our board. We also support women in property, and there's a network that kind of inspires young people to join the industry as well. So we work with a number of external organisations to inspire and change the perception as well in the industry. Harriet, I've got a question from Fran. What would you have done differently in any way if you had your time again?
Not sure there's a lot I would change. I think I would look at my degree and maybe tailor it more to a construction degree now, looking back. But actually my degree fits in really well with the position that I've taken. And I think what's always good for me that I wouldn't change is I did my teaching and I enjoyed it for a reason. And I think construction industry will take over my life for many years. But I've always got my teaching to fall back on when I've had enough of the construction industry. So I've got a bit of a luck in both ways that I can sort of, you know, jump back to what I used to do and still do what I do now. So I don't think there's anything I would particularly change in my job role.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I started in the industry at 17 and I did an apprenticeship route for 5 years. Then I stayed in that industry and then left when I was in my 20s to go travelling for a year. But then, funnily enough, I just felt that construction was the right industry, so I migrated back into construction and then chose to go into marketing and strategy to look at new markets and where we should be going. So I think construction is one of those industries which is fantastic to be able to look at many different roles. Han has just commented, it's fantastic to see the difference that we're making, and she's excited about after doing her level 3 to apply. And there's a question from Jared around, because there are less women in roles in construction, if as a woman and highly skilled, is it easier to then get the promotion?
I think it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, whether you're highly skilled or not. If you are highly skilled and you're both in that position, then you will both gradually get up the food chain and get those promotions. But I think, you know, in my position, you know, I've been here for 4.5 years, and I've had 3 promotions in my 4 years I've been here. So I think within the construction industry alone, there are lots of opportunities for you to get promoted, and if you work hard, you know, you step up the ladder quite well.
Yeah, and I think that difference that you can bring, going back to that again, if you've both got the same skill, but you've got the right attitude and aptitude to get on, you will get noticed as a woman, because often, not always, but you've had to work, you know, a lot harder in some ways, or smarter to get to there. And actually the opportunities are on offer are the same. And it's just about how you promote yourself with the resilience as well. So I think you've got the opportunities all the way in the food chain to get on. Last question from Zaf. Is there anything that I would have changed at all from coming in the industry? I don't think so, actually. I think maybe the same as Harriet. I think I worked for 18 months on site, and I worked on Richard Branson's roof garden project in London, where he keeps all of his flamingos, and he's got his bar at the top of his building in London. And I think it was really interesting to work on site for 18 months. So actually, maybe I would have looked at a project management or a construction management route to have been able to add that to the sort of repertoire of the activities that both Harriet and myself do. But no, I wouldn't have changed anything about my kind of career, really, pathway. So I think that brings us to the end of the questions. If you've got any further questions, don't hesitate to field them through Debbie, and myself and Harriet can hopefully answer those. And I hope that we've just given you a sense of diversity and championing women in construction to you today.
So I'd like to say a big thank you on behalf of West Suffolk College staff and students, Karen and Harriet. It's been an absolute insightful introduction. I think you can see from some of the questions that students have got, they're just bubbling over with enthusiasm about, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I travel? Can I do it part-time? Can I come back to it? Can I change if I don't like it? And I think the feedback that you've given is, actually, do you know what? There's something for everyone in construction. It doesn't matter about the word construction. If you're into marketing, or if you're into charity work or teaching, or you want to do a trade, there is something for everyone there. And I think that's really important when we're looking at both diversity and championing women in construction as well. So I'd just like to say a big heartfelt and warm thank you from all of us. And I think you've generated a hell of a lot of excitement and questions, as well as discussion amongst the groups that I've got throughout the Built Environment campus. So thank you very much. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you soon. Take good care.
Thanks very much. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.